Chato Gate, the native home of the late President John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. But then, let's get back home and talk about the overstayed welcome in universities, and crackdown to weed out learners who have overstayed in public universities has kicked off, with the University of Nairobi taking the lead in the exercise that targets 32,000 students. The details are contained in a March 8th memo by Julius Ongengo, the Deputy Vice-Chancellor in charge of academic affairs. To enforce the directive, the UN Vice-Chancellor Stephen Kiama transferred all student affairs matters to the DVC in charge of academic affairs. Professor Kiama says UN will scrutinize students' enroll and use details to make informed decisions. The VC said development of the students' progression and deregistration guidelines was part of the larger reforms the university was instituting to enhance accountability and transparency. So I want us to speak to the UN Vice-Chancellor Stephen Kiama on this. And Professor Kiama, thank you for joining us here on KTN News Center. So the target is 32,000 students who've overstayed in UN, in the universities. Since that announcement was made, how many students have you so far cleared and told them that their presence is no longer needed at the University of Nairobi?
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad to have this opportunity also to talk to you on this very, very important matter. When I took the responsibility of running University of Nairobi from early last year, I initiated some number of reforms to ensure that the University of Nairobi becomes more relevant, vibrant, and more sustainable. Among these was the curricular reform, financial reforms, governance reforms, people reforms, and data reforms. Data is very, very important. When you are running such a very huge organization like University of Nairobi, you need to know at any one time how many students do you have, how many members of staff do you have. Because even for planning how much money you are going to put on something, you need to know how many people you are going to address. So we said, look, given the various changes that have taken place in the University of Nairobi over time, in terms of introduction of the Module 2 programs, in terms of changing the way we process students, in terms of online processing, in terms of the way we allow exams that you can retake a subject which you have failed, and also that you can also register for the number of units you can be able to do at any one time. Mm-hmm. We have ended up with so many students in our system, some of who may have moved on and decided to stop learning with us. We said we must now stop and ensure that we look at all this data and clean it so that we can be able to tell for sure these are the students we are planning for. You know that the Kenya University also Funding Board also said that this is an important thing, because when we are talking about funding of university through differentiated unit costs, you need to know for sure these are the students in the institution. Mm-hmm.
All right.
So that is we have started this exercise.
All right. So Prof, you've answered my question, yes, partly, and kindly give us the figures, because this directive was to be implemented as from the 22nd of this month from the memo that was given out to the students of UN. So how many have so far been told that your presence are no longer needed within this institution of higher learning?
Yes, you know, the process is progressive. Actually, we are targeting to be somewhere by the 1st of this month. So we were not to finish then. What we are doing now, you know, we have to deal with this as a project. We have to involve the students. We have to involve the chairmen of the departments, the deans of faculties, and directors of the institutes, together with the DVC Academic Affairs, to ensure that the process is done fairly, efficiently, and transparently.
All right. So when you talk about...
So that is a process that is ongoing now. Yeah.
All right. So when you talk about overstaying within the university, what are you exactly looking at? For how many years, or for how long you've taken in terms of clearing a course? What exactly are you looking at?
Very well. You know, the beauty is that all our programs, before they are approved by Senate, you must indicate the duration of the program. So all the programs have a specific duration. However, we provide also that there is a minimum and the maximum duration. We are using mainly the maximum duration. Have you expended all your time to the maximum? For example, a program that is 4 academic years, the maximum would be 8 academic years. For a program that is 6 academic years, the maximum will be 12 academic years. So that is how it works. Also for PhD, is the same. For master's, the same. For the graduate, the same. The maximums are defined in the program by program based on the length of the program as approved by Senate. So it is very easy. Even by the time the student is joining, they know what is the maximum.
All right.
But now, we also say that if there were specific challenges, then you can bring them forward through the dean and the chairman to Senate, and the Senate will consider to give you that extension to address that specific problem.
All right. In fact, I was about to ask you that in terms of the challenges some students have been facing, because I know in every institution of higher learning, the students who have probably defied the courses or the units they were taking because maybe of lack of finances. So my question rather is, when you look at some of the issues, that cases that will be forwarded to the university as a way of trying to ask for an extension, for how long will that extension be given, especially to students who dropped out due to financial issues or because of work-related issues, especially students who decided to defer the courses that they've been taking?
Very well. Interestingly, the extent that this can be extended is open. It is Senate that determines. Because you could also, not only about money, you could have been unwell, and then you are admitted in hospital for a long time, and therefore you could not have been able to do exams, or some other disruption that came your way. That is what is brought. Once it is brought, you'll be given that extension to be able to complete. The Senate is the only one which makes the decision on academic affairs, and if it is convinced that the reason is justifiable, it will still give you another 1 year, and then you say what you have done, another 1 year, until you complete. So long as there is a justifiable reason why you must be given an extension. It is not you giving yourself an extension.
All right. So let me read part of the memo that was sent to all students of the UON, and it says, "This is therefore to notify the entire university community and relevant stakeholders of the above decision, the decision to remove the 32,000 learners from UON, and at the same time request all to continue referring students' affairs-related matters to the office of the DVC, that is the Academic Affairs, until otherwise advised." Was there a stakeholders consultation or student union consultations, or even with the Ministry of Health, concerning this decision before it was implemented?
You know, the issues of academic in university, it is the responsibility of Senate and no other person. So that if we say, Senate says this person has qualified for award of a degree of Doctor of Medicine or engineering or literature or whatever it is, that person will so be. There is no other recourse from another place where another person can say, no, this one has the degree of this. Only Senate, and therefore it's only Senate that decides when are you qualified. Obviously, we are regulated by Commission for University Education, and our syllabus, our curriculum go there, and they are approved, and they are accredited. The system called accreditation before Senate implements the curriculum. After that, there is no reference to any other person beside following the guidelines as laid out in that program. So that there is the reproducibility of the student. When you produce people in engineering or medicine, the ones you produced last year or 2 years ago, and the ones you are going to produce 5 years from now, are going to have the same level of qualification and the same level of knowledge and the skills to do the work they have to do. It is not something that is a moving target that you call people and you ask them, now, what do you do on this one?
All right.
Yes, so the Senate regulates itself in the way it manages this, and it has done very well over the years. You are aware of this.
All right. So as we wind up this conversation, Prof, so what happens to students who fall under the category of learners with disciplinary cases were suspended by the university and those who over the years have beaten the systems to overstay, will they be part of those people who will be removed from the register of the UON?
You know, one of the other things I started, you know, was on the context of the people reforms, was to pardon students who may have made a mistake in the university. They breached one of the regulations, and as a result, they were expelled or suspended for a long time. We said, no, these students should come back, and as Senate, we'll be ready to readmit them and have them complete their program. That time they were out will be counted out, so that what is counted is the time you are registered with us. Mm-hmm. So we have put a very, very fair and efficient mechanism to ensure that nobody will be excluded from their completing their degree because of a technicality. Mm-hmm. No. It has to be, it is substantive. You registered for a program, and then for some reasons which are not known to Senate, you decided to just go away, and there is no entry in the university record that you came, you sat for an exam, or you make the request for extension, or you made a case that you are unwell, or you are suspended. There was no case.
All right.
That was you brought to the attention of the university. You are just in the list of the university students, but there is no entry that you ever sat for exam or attended any class and you have been away. So we don't want that name to be in our list.
All right. Yes. Professor Stephen Kiama, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Nairobi, talking to us about that plan to remove at least 32 learners who've overstayed, at the institution of higher learning, specifically the University of Nairobi. Remember, this exercise is being done, in all public universities, but the UON is the first university to implement this. The implementation kicked off on the 22nd of this month. That is actually on Monday this week. So far, up to date with what is making the headlines. 10:26 a.m. on KTN News Center. When we come back, this is what you need to expect. That conversation that my colleague Akisa Wandera had with Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala on his ouster as the Senate Deputy Minority Leader, that happened yesterday. So we'll hear what he had to say. And of course also what residents of Kakamega have to say about the ouster of their senator.